morning everyone, this is morning devotion. I'll read from Zechariah chapter 4. This prophet has a message, and the message is so wonderful and encouraging, saying that in verse 8, moreover the word of the Lord came to me saying, the hands of Zerubbabel have laid the foundation of this temple. His hand shall also finish it. Then you will know that the Lord of hosts has sent me to you. For who has despised the day of small things? For these seven rejoice to see the plumb line in the hand of Zerubbabel. They are the eyes of the Lord which scan to and fro throughout the whole earth. Just wanted to focus on the word here. Who has despised the day of small things? Sometimes it's like sometimes people despise the small things. Like people think this is small, I don't want this one, I want something big, I want something better, I don't want these small things. And sometimes people are discouraged with the small things. Some people compare with the small thing with the big things. But then here it says that when the temple was laying us, when they laid the foundation of this temple, it says here that his hand shall also finish it. Isn't it like when we start in a small way, it doesn't look like that God is in it, correct? Like we think it's small, and many people despise the small thing. But remember, God is in it. Like as this word says, his hand shall also finish it. His hand is on it. His hand is on the small things. Like even in the Philippians chapter 1, 6 says that he who began a good work in you is faithful to complete it. Like he is the one who is going to complete it. Whether it is like when we start something small, God is going to complete it. God is going to cherish it. Like if you think in Matthew chapter 19 verse 13, like remember even the little children were brought to him, that he might put his hand on them and pray, but the disciples rebuked them. Like they were rebuking little children. But Jesus said, let the little children come to me and do not forbid them, for such is the kingdom of heaven. And then verse 15, he laid his hand on them and departed. Like Jesus is so humble and he is so respecting the little children. Let them come to me. They wanted his hand upon them, but disciples were rebuking. Sometimes it happened not only with the little children, but sometimes it can happen with the small things also. People despise the small thing. Like in this case of story of Matthew chapter 19, disciples rebuked the little children, but Jesus welcomed the little children to himself. In Luke chapter 16 verse 10 says that he who is faithful in what is least is faithful also in much. And he who is unjust in what is least is also unjust in much. So we have a lesson here that when we are faithful in little things, God will give us a greater responsibility later. That's what we can learn from today's devotion. That do not despise the small things. Do not say that do not disregard the small things, or say that this is not important. Remember, when God's hand is in that, nobody can touch it. And when we really appreciate, when we really honor these things, God really promotes those things in our life. So encourage yourself, even if we are like sometimes church planting, church ministry, or family, new beginning, anything, something new, it's small, starts with small, then becomes later big. But or maybe people are small, like people are poor, maybe we don't need to despise those people and say we want big people in our life, so I'll have an importance in my life. If I have big work, then I'll have an importance in my life, I have a value in my life. No, it's not like that. God is looking at the small things. God is not despising the small things. So it's built up in this that we don't need to show the big numbers. We just need to be faithful in the small things, and He is the one who can build and develop in our life. Amen.